Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and Xrp, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. So the Black Swan event has hit the market, and it seems as though we are already bouncing back. Now, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to address it. I'm recording this video a little bit earlier in the day because I am going to be watching UFC 300 for anybody out there that is a UFC fan. Let me know what you guys have been thinking about the fight, because by the time that this video does go live, the fights should be almost wrapped up. But regardless, this was my initial post from yesterday, which I said we got an update on major bank earnings today, which caused some blood today. Again, this could be the start of a much larger pullback where the mid $50,000 region could be targeted. Now, with that in mind, we didn't get exactly down to the $50,000 mark, but this was what I woke up to, which was roughly almost 61K being hit on Bitcoin. I said, this is what volatility looks like. It's not easy to make it through these types of moves. And in fact, most are already panicking. Call it what you will, but this is the major shakeout right before the much larger expansion target equals mid $50,000 region. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to hit 50K. We don't even have to go that low. But that was my initial viewpoint on the market. I already bought up some altcoins. In fact, one of the altcoins that I did recently buy was Cellframe. I already told you guys about Cellframe a little bit ago. Quantum technology. It's definitely a focus point of mine. But regardless of that, I bought some other altcoins as well on the lows because it just made sense. The market looked wiped out. Sentiment was completely dead. Everyone was bearish. So it just made sense to me. But this was also a post that I put out, and it was mainly talking about the war talks. Now listen, I'm not a pro-war guy. I think that war is terrible. I've talked about it multiple times. Nobody wins in war besides the big bankers because they make money off of it. The governments, they make money off of it. Go listen to the song War Pigs. You already know about it, right? But regardless, I said, so 6 hours ago, there were 0 talks of war, and now my entire timeline is talks of war. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but this is going to panic most of the market and make the majority of investors fearful. This could be the narrative that completely resets sentiment and actually puts us into extreme fear levels. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we see the mid 50K region while Bitcoin dominance continues pumping. Then Bitcoin dominance tops and starts its downtrend while Bitcoin recovers to $80,000 to $100,000 and the entire market tops prior to 2025. That's my full focus. That last move would also be an alt season officially starting and ending. The key thing to remember is that we are still in election year. Guys, don't forget that we are in election year. Not saying we don't go to war, but I think that it's unlikely at the moment. Now, also, I have 2 other posts by myself. Listen, I'll be real with you guys. The price action over the last few days is enough to shake anyone out. If you are still here and you are still focused up, I truly commend you. Right now, it seems like the sky is falling and there are no signs of hope that the prices will go up. Guys, if you've been around the market for a while, go back to 2020. When COVID hit the market, guess what? Everyone thought that the market was done, that it was doomed. Bitcoin was going back down sub $1,000. There's people calling for ridiculous prices. And guess what ended up happening? We continued to rally from that point on. I said, this is the moment where you either make it to the finish line or give up just before the celebration. We have 2 scenarios in front of us, and it's uncertain what happens next. One, we either bottom over the next few days or so and we go parabolic after, or 2, this was it and the market is done, which is unlikely due to the fact that euphoria wasn't even here and the majority of the market still barely made new all-time highs. The narrative right now is that the market is finished and war is raging. War is not good for anyone, and I doubt it actually happens this year, at least. Look at previous market cycles, specifically leading into the bull run. There is always some extremely bearish event that shakes the market to its core and will make you believe it's over. In my opinion, I personally see us bottoming here soon, and then the alt season starts with euphoria hitting the market heavily. Now, here is an update. Now, I said no source could be engagement farming, but if this is the case, then, well, you already know what happens next. And we have breaking. Iran declares that as far as it's concerned, the account is closed and the incident is behind us unless Israel responds. They emphasize that this was an act of self-defense and stress that the United States must not intervene. So that was the update. Again, Is it fake news? We don't know. There's no source to this at all. So again, make sure that you are aware that anything can be said out on X. But to post by Credible Crypto is exactly what I've been following. So one, we have, bro, go look at the day Russia invaded Ukraine on a chart and tell me what you see. Hint, it marked a bottom from which we rallied 40% and which was not broken for another 4 months. Stop focusing on the narratives. They trigger an emotional response that has no basis in data, which means you can't refute it, and it shifts you in an instant from making rational, data-driven decisions to irrational, emotionally driven ones. And this is mainly talking about how, wars incoming charts are getting invalidated. And even over here, a lot of people think that this isn't a pullback, that the entire market is shifting into a bearish market sentiment. And we have, is this trend shift in the room with us now? Zoom out, people. And here you guys have the overall chart. Even though we went significantly lower, which I will talk about here in a second, it seems as though things are now waking up in a bigger way, which I will talk about as well. And beyond this, the number one thing to focus on is the entire sentiment shift. Yesterday, I told you open interest got reset. The entire market got reset. Now, this only solidifies sentiment getting reset as well with it. Here's the altcoin accumulation chart from TechDev. Now, regardless, TechDev was wrong multiple times back in 2021. I will openly admit it. He will openly admit it as well. He already did. But this is what we are looking at in terms of the altcoin market. When we really look at the altcoin market right now, this is a significant back test before a much larger expansion to the upside. You might be saying alt season doesn't exist. Alt season is never happening. This, that, whatever. Currently speaking, this was the chart when I woke up just a couple hours ago. Guys, this is where we're at now. Bitcoin's back to 65K. Most of the market is back to significant levels. Now, again, a lot of altcoins are still green on the 24-hour span, but there's also still a lot of red throughout the market. And you might be saying, Nick, XRP got completely demolished. Anyone out there that is saying that XRP got completely demolished today, guys, XRP is not even one of the top losers in the top 100. That's something to significantly mention. Here's the top 500 as well. So there's still a lot of gains across the board. In fact, if you've been a part of the Patreon group, again, you don't have to be in a paid group or anything like that. It just helps you guys save a ton of time and also make a ton of money. But Math and Forda were two that I actually called in the Patreon group that are doing very well against this major drop in the market. There's also a few other ones on this list that I could also mention, but regardless, most of those altcoins that I did mention are actually up today, which is surprising. Again, if we look at the top losers, XRP is not in the top losers, which means XRP, although it had a significant drop in the market, it's still not too bad in terms of price action. Now, if we look at the top 7-day losers, again, XRP is not even in this list. And here's the last 30 days as well. So XRP, for what it may seem, is not doing as bad versus majority of the altcoins like everyone has been saying. Here's the XRP chart. Yes, it is rough. If we look at this, even if we go back just 1 day ago, XRP is down 34%, but majority of the market is down 34%. And most of these altcoins are actually down 60%, 50%, 40%. It's pretty crazy out there. But this is exactly what we needed in order for the entire market to be fully reset upon the halving as well. And what have I told you guys in terms of the halving? That we typically see a 20% plus pullback before the actual halving. This is all just a complete black swan event that came out of nowhere, reset the entire market in terms of sentiment. Even right now, I haven't really been looking at the fear and greed index. I know everyone loves looking at the fear and greed index. This is basically, it's one of those indicators that, in my opinion, it's not a very good indicator. You could go back in time and look at the fear and greed index back in 2021 as well, and you can kind of make the scenario that, all right, yeah, this doesn't mean much at all, because it really doesn't. It's just an indicator that everyone looks at and says, all right, well, we need a full pullback. It really doesn't necessarily mean that. It's like looking at RSI and saying, oh, the RSI is overbought. Guys, Solana has been overbought since it hit $9. And guess what? From there, it continued to rally. So the fear and greed index isn't an indicator that I would look at and say, all right, yeah, we're 100% dumping because we're still in greed. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But I will say this. Are we bottomed out because Bitcoin was back above 65K? No, we're not. This is the Bitcoin chart. We lost the trend. This trend is one of the significant things that I was watching for over the last couple days. We wicked down to about roughly 60.9K. This was the area of support back in February. And we actually held this, ranged on it for a little bit, and then had the next rally to the upside. Now, what we are seeing is a loss of this trend line. If we come back down and range here before the next move up, that would be greatly appreciated, because that means that we don't lose $60,000. But is that going to be the case? Or are we going to completely lose this, come back down here to like the 50K region, build a floor, and then go? Because again, if we look at this chart, I don't think that I need to tell you guys, but there's a lot of demand down here. In fact, we ranged down here for multiple days back in February before the much larger expansion to the upside. The thing to really note here, okay, is that when we have a crash in the market, it's not bearish. I feel as though so many people look at these prices and they're like, oh, well, the entire market just got wiped out, I'm extremely bearish. Guys, sometimes price action like this is much needed for us to go much higher. Go back to 2021. For an example, right? Even during 2020, when we had this wipeout in the market because of March of 2020, this was needed for us to actually expand much larger to the upside. And during this time, we still had major pullbacks. I mean, just to put it into perspective here real quick, let me show you guys. So here is November of 2020. There was a pullback in the market about roughly 16%. Just to show you guys real quick where we are at right now on Bitcoin. So initially, I'm just going to go off of the daily chart. So we're down about roughly 14%. If we go off of the full top up here, we are down about roughly 17%. Again, not much at all. People are panicking off of a 17% and like 14% pullback. Just to show you guys, this was a 17% pullback before a much larger expansion. And it took some time to be realized in, because even on this initial move, we were down still about 12%. Then we had an expansion to the upside, again, pulled back about roughly 10%. And there was pullbacks along the way. Even on some of these red candles, here's a perfect example. Here's a 20% pullback. And again, another move to the upside, followed by a 30% pullback. This is normal price action. This is one, retesting demand zones, targeting liquidity, and then having a much larger move to the upside. So this move on Bitcoin is really not concerning at all. And even on XRP, right? A lot of people have been reposting the 2017, 2018 fractal on XRP. Just to give you guys a quick example of what ended up happening right before the big move to the upside on XRP, there was major sell-offs, right? There's a major sell-off right before the big move. In fact, this was on XRP, roughly a 30% pullback on XRP. We just saw a major 30+% pullback on XRP. The initial candle here on May of 2017, after a big expansion to the upside, this was like a 68% pullback. So, you know, again, just prepare for volatility. Volatility is your friend in this market, because everyone loves the volatility on the upside, but they hate the volatility on the downside. You can't play in this market if you're not expecting the volatility on the downside. But one thing that I will say is I actually love the area that we retested on XRP. We broke down past that bottom trend line, which again, that was like 53 cents. A loss of 53 cents was going to be a significant pullback after, if we lost it, which we did get it, right? But the level that we just retested down here at about roughly 42, 43 cents, I even said that 43 cents could be a possibility. I said it even in the Discord. But if we look at this, right, this is significant support that we've bounced off of in the past. I would love for us to maintain this level. If we lose this level down here, again, if, it's a big if, and it all depends on if Bitcoin can reclaim this trend line up here, which is like above $67,000. The daily candle close looks like we're closing below this at the current moment in time. But if we could regain this, then that would be very strong. Again, the big question is if we can regain it. If we look at XRP, again, the big thing that I'm really looking at here is just maintaining this level at about roughly 42, 43 cents. If we lose this, then we will retest in the mid 30-cent region, which a lot of people will love that for buying opportunities, but I know that a lot of people also get shaken out. When we look at the altcoin market, this is what I had posted in the Discord. So we had a nice wick down to this level from March 5th, actually. This is, we wicked a little bit lower. It was about like $560 billion. I'm ultimately watching for something like this to be realized in over the course of the next couple days and weeks. It's going to take some time, obviously, but you know, as we really look at this market, this is a black swan event. It's something that, you know, again, if we look at the overall market, it needed to reset the overall sentiment, and this completely reset the market, in my opinion. Most people are now bearish. Everyone is expecting us to completely sell off. My entire timeline today has been driven by fear and by uncertainty. A lot of people are, you know, calling this like, all right, well, that's the end of the bull run. We never even had alt season. Like, my entire timeline is just doom and gloom. Again, the big thing to focus on right now, in my opinion, is just if we can retain if we can regain momentum on these charts above significant trend lines and actually maintain support zones. Losing support zones, significant support zones, even on Bitcoin, would cause a significant move to the downside. And if I'm being honest with you guys, a 30% pullback would take us right about roughly around the $50,000 region. And if we go off of the top candles up here, this would be a 31% pullback. This is something that could happen. Don't be alarmed if it does, but this is why I said make sure that you have stable coins on the sidelines and you're locked in on those high conviction plays. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.